They're falling off their screen.
By the way, we are recording, and so you have the option to rename yourself or turn your video off. Ah, okay, well, I'm sorry, I'm trying to share the
See
our
who else is.
activity, and it doesn't like that. So
Huh?
we're just going to leave it. Um, so today, welcome everybody. Good morning and good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. Thank you for joining us for this group call to kick off our Japan tour. And we will be discussing things that are pretty much on already included on the FAQs, but just a way of imparting information in another format and also getting to know each other a little better. Take your questions. I'm Sheila Desai. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the owner and founder of EYHO Tours. This has been going on for about trying to keep out trouble for about 15 years now doing this and having a grand old time. So, yeah, and I'm really excited to welcome Kathy on this tour as the tour manager. I will be meeting you initially in Tokyo for a few days, excuse me, and then Kathy will be taking over. She's, as you know, she's super organized and super knowledgeable about Japan. So we're really looking forward to working together with Kathy. We have been working together, but in on site as well. So please welcome everybody. This is what we will be discussing today. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cough today. So we're discussing visas and immigration, arrivals, airport transfers, how we'll stay connected while we're in Japan, how much money you need, where, how to get it, tipping and gratuities, dietary restrictions, packing, and then the other things, any other questions that you have, also things like taxes and masking. Very importantly, what kind of apps you need on your smart device because Japan is it's an industrialized country, but also I find difficult to navigate because it's also just so densely like there's no English anywhere, and or on some places there is. I shouldn't say anywhere, but some most of the places that you go to, even in the drugstores, and then you do tend to kind of do things on your own a lot. So these apps are going to be very important. You talk about that a little bit to make your life a little easier. I'm going to stop sharing this and uh, go around, and perhaps we can share a short bio about all of us, and then we can then get on with the talk. So, Kathy, do you want to go first? I'm going to put you right on the spot. I'm going to tell. I'm sure people
Sure.
kind of know, but yeah, let's hear from you first to get going.
Sure. So I've been to Japan before a few times. I used to work with Toyota and Lexus in Canada. So I went there first on business, and they have like a textile culture where they make their own fabric. So I put together a trip and took my quilting friends to Japan to, well, basically shop, but we did see a lot of sights, and it did not disappoint in the fabric. And then we did hands-on experiences. And then last year I went with Sheila because her trip offered hands-on experiences and more textile. And then when she asked me if I would be tour manager, I was like, yes. Japan is very, very fun, very nice.
Yeah, yeah, and we're already plotting the 2025 trip, aren't we, Kathy? We're looking at the theme of kimono, all through
Oh,
Japanese culture, arts, textiles, museums, all of that. So the kimono, that is be our theme for 2025, just as the teaser. Okay, so I guess I always forget to introduce myself. Yeah, so I'm Sheila Desai, and I've been doing this for about 15 years this year. Yeah, and just started on a whim. This travel business was something that just came about very organically. Led the first tour to India for some writer friends, and then from there it just kept growing. And of course, fell down the textile rabbit hole because when I went to Gujarat and Kutch, which is where I come from in India, that is my ancestral base. I was struck by how a lot of these cultures can retain their traditional modes of living through textiles is one of the ways, I guess, that also the food that they grow. And I was smitten. I said, this is basically the kind of travel I want to explore the world over. And so that is what has been happening. And then during the pandemic, we were also hosting talks and lectures to, we couldn't travel. So as you know, we were all Zoom bound, housebound and Zoom bound. And we had a lot of fun with that as well. So I welcome you all on this tour. Really excited to get going. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Cindy, you know you're headed to Arizona soon, but what else can you tell us?
I've traveled all over the world, and sometimes it's been on textile focused or craft focused trips, including in Gujarat, in Uzbekistan. I've been to Indonesia 4 times, been to India 4 times. I've been to Japan twice before, but I haven't been there since 1986. So I feel almost like a beginner as far as Japan is concerned. Um, I live in Santa Monica, California. I just got back from a 3-week trip to Poland, which was sort of a roots trip, very interesting and different. Usually I go to places for festivals and for other reasons. So I'm looking forward to seeing Japan again. Again, I'm almost approaching it as a newcomer because I don't really remember Tokyo that well. And Kyoto, I do remember certain things. I'm adding on half my trip is this trip, half my trip I'm going to be traveling independently after the textile tour to Naoshima Island, the art island, to Nara for a festival, and then back to Tokyo. I'm also adding some days in Kyoto. I'm concerned about doing some of the basic sightseeing too, in addition to the textile focus.
Fabulous. Thank you. And your counterpart, Christine, is traveling, right? So where is she right now?
I'm not sure. She's been traveling.
She's in the Sahara.
Maybe in Algeria. Okay. I'm not
All
sure.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of Christine that I've joined this trip. Christine
Right.
and I have traveled before in Indonesia and in Papua New Guinea. So
And
yeah,
I've traveled with
I
Christine
can't keep track of
on 4 trips already this year. So she's getting to be my most frequent traveler. Anyway, thanks so much, Cindy. Good hearing from you. Seth and Linda.
No, Lisa.
Lisa, I'm so sorry. Happy Rosh Hashanah. I hope you had a good New Year yesterday.
Thank you.
Yes, please join us. Tell us a little more about what draws you to this trip.
Well, we live in New Jersey, but I grew up in Los Angeles, and both of us, and this is really for Cindy, both of us went to UCLA, I undergrad, Seth for grad school. So I feel like we have a Santa Monica connection. I actually have a degree in fiber arts, though did not pursue that as a career, and very long story, ended up working in healthcare marketing. So there you are. But we both retired about 2.5 years ago. We've traveled a lot. I've done one textile tour last year in Oaxaca, Mexico, and just like loved it. So started looking for more textile focused travel. And so that's how we found this trip. I'm going to say we haven't been to Japan. We were in Vietnam and had, an 8-hour layover in Narita and did a half-day tour of Narita. So I don't really count that as being in Japan. But we really like Southeast Asia. So we're excited to be there. Can't think of anything else at the moment.
Yeah, great. Welcome. Thank you very much. And Seth, do you want to add anything?
I have no art background or abilities, but I have learned a lot through Lisa.
He has a good eye.
And she spoke so highly of the Oaxaca tour. I joined her after the tour was over for textiles. I thought I'd join this one, and gives me an opportunity to see Japan, which I have not seen.
Right. Yes, thank you. And Connie, let's go to you next.
Hi, I'm in San Diego, California, and my friend Heather, who's in one of the other boxes on the screen, we were best friends in 5th grade, and then lost track of each other. And just about a decade ago, found each other again. And so it turned out we were both quilt makers and we both hand quilt, which is kind of unusual anymore. So one thing led to another, and we decided it was time to go to Japan and look for fabric. And she had kept track of tours online and mentioned your company, Sheila, and it just sounded great. So we're doing it. I've traveled a lot in search of textiles and also food things. I love to cook and bake. And I'm really excited to be going on this tour.
Hey, well, welcome. It's amazing, grade 5, and then now here you are traveling together to Japan. That's such a wonderful story. Of course, I could tell you more about Carolyn and John. Nice to meet you. Carolyn also I've traveled with many, many, many times, actually to Japan last year. And so welcome again, Carolyn.
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Carolyn, and I went to Japan without John, and he used to have Japanese employees, so he jumped on the bandwagon for this one. I already know Kathy Nellis, and we have something else planned for next year, and I know Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Hi.
Because we were in Indonesia together. And I also know Christine, who's in the Sahara, by the way, and she doesn't come back till a week from today because I looked it up today.
Goodness.
All right.
You want to say something? I have an art background, and I've also been doing things with textiles. I can weave on a good day.
And not an artist. I'm an engineer, or I was an engineer, retired about 5 years ago. But I went back to work lately, working on a road widening project out at the airport here. And I'm going out there as soon as this meeting is over.
I'm sorry, where is there?
Oh,
Denver.
outside of Denver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, nice to meet you finally online, John, because I've heard so much about you from Carolyn. And she always says John Braxma. She never says John, she says John Braxma. And we love that name, by the way. So nice to meet you. Welcome. Heather, I can see all the quilting fabrics ready to be sewn into quilts in the background. And of course, we've had a little introduction from Connie about you, but please tell us more.
Yes, I live in San Diego. I have traveled quite a bit, but never to Japan. For a short time, I was teaching English as a second language, and there were lots of Japanese students in those classes. Most of my career was in newspapers. I was a copy editor, so I edited stories and laid out pages, but I retired about 7 years ago, and during COVID, I would play these games online, like where would I go if I could go anywhere? So I was always keeping track of EYHO tours because I am originally from Montreal. So I knew that being a Canadian company, you would have a reputable firm.
Us Canadians stick together, huh?
Yes.
Hey. Yeah. Okay, welcome. We're happy to have you with us. Yes, hi, Catherine. You're muted. Perhaps you can.
There we go.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so I'm a studio artist. I, for 20 years, worked in art quilting. I traveled quite a lot with Nancy Crow, who is a kind of art quilter teacher, very well known within the community. With her, I went to South Africa, Peru, Bolivia, and then with some of my other artist friends, I went to Japan for the first time 9-10 years ago. This will be my 5th trip to Japan. I went on one trip with the purpose of learning to do shibori, which was really, really exciting. It's always great to know how a process of dyeing works. I'm not particularly a dyer, but I know how to do it. I mostly work in acrylics, and nature is my subject. Hope, my daughter, Hope Cahan, and I are going on this trip together. This will be our 2nd trip this year to Japan. We went in the spring, and I invited my husband to go, and he said that he thought it was a little excessive to go twice in 1 year. So I said, no, I think we have to go because Robin and Charlotte are going. So Robin is my cousin.
Connection.
Yeah, Robin is my cousin, and I just couldn't pass up an opportunity to travel with Robin and Charlotte because they're the best, really.
Wonderful. And you're arriving a little earlier, and you're hiking before the tour starts, I think, right?
Yes. We're going off into the wilderness, and we're gonna hike up to where the snow monkeys are. I'm happy to report that the snow monkeys do not get into the same water that the humans do. Even though I had visions of sitting surrounded by snow monkeys, and I thought that would be cool, but
And they're probably thankful that we don't get on in the same water that they do as well.
I made you a
I'm an
day trip.
animal.
I made you a day trip to Nagano at the end of the trip, so I'm going to want to hear about that.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And we're also going on the extension. So we're packing a little tiny suitcase full of everything from cold to hot and city to hike. It should be interesting. You'll be seeing the same outfit multiple times.
Okay. Well, bring it on. Okay, thanks very much, Catherine, and welcome to you and Hope. Robert and Charlotte, I guess we've heard there's a little bit of there's a connection. You're Catherine's cousin, but tell us a little bit more. How's France right now?
France right now is great, thank you. We have been here for the last 6 years. Both of us have traveled extensively, having grown up overseas. Charlotte in the Middle East and Europe, me in Asia, including 5 years in Japan when I was quite young. It's changed enormously since I was a kid there. But Charlotte and I went back about 4 years ago. We arrived just as COVID was hitting, so everything sort of closed down around us while we were there. Our trip to the airport, we were the only people on the bus going out to Haneda to depart. So we felt like we had missed out on a lot of the experiences that we had hoped that we would be able to enjoy, although we did see lots of gardens since they were not shut down for COVID. We're looking forward to this trip because Charlotte is the artist in the family and interested in textiles and needlepoint and
Japanese lacquer.
Japanese lacquer, yes, lovely. We have a visit in Yamanaka to a Japanese lacquer place, which is fabulous. So, and you get a
Where in France are you?
We are in Charente, which is, nobody knows where it is. It's about an hour from Bordeaux.
It's north of Bordeaux.
And it is pretty best known for cognac and spirits, which are grown in the western part of the department. Around us, it's not a great deal of sightseeing, but it's beautiful countryside with agriculture. And just further east of us is the Dordogne, which is a wonderful tourist destination for lots and lots of people. But we are very much looking forward to our trip.
Thank you so much.
With all of you and with my cousin and her daughter.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome. Mary, we'll go on next to you.
Hi, I'm from Delaware. This will be my first trip to Japan. I've had a lifelong love of textiles, and I've wanted to go to Japan for a long time. So I'm really looking forward to this trip. I think I'm also really looking forward to the fact that there's a lot of quilters. I had some initial concerns that the time in the Pori might have been very brief, but now it sounds like we'll get a decent amount of time to do some shopping.
Oh, yes.
That particular day, I thought, well, gee, nobody else is really into fabric. We're going to only have like an hour or so, but no, it sounds like a lot of people are interested. So great to hear that.
Well, there's some free time built into your evening, so you can always head back to the very famous street where I think a lot of people like to hang out for textiles, for fabrics. Okay, well, welcome. We'll get started. Let me see if I can share this now. No, still not working. I don't know. Hang on. Doesn't like it's so. For some reason, when you've got two windows open, Zoom gets very confused. So just get out of that and see if I can share that. Yep, guess everybody can see that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with visas and immigration. Well, everybody's from the US and France, and you do not need visas as we did for our last tour in 2023. There was quite a kerfuffle about getting the visas and then also entering and those forms to fill out when you entered and so on. So we're very lucky that they've scrapped all of that this time round. And so you just walk in and you get issued an e-visa on arrival. So that's nice and easy. Now, we are hearing that immigration, particularly at Haneda, don't know what Narita is like right now, but we're hearing that immigration at Narita is taking a long time. And many of you who are booked on our airport shuttle, the shared shuttle, will know that there is a 90-minute time limit before the shuttle goes away. So we're going to check on that and update you on that. We just heard today that immigration in Haneda is taking a long time. So if necessary, we might, give you a little longer to at least claim your baggage and make it out. So that's pretty much it for visas and immigration. Now, when you arrive, if you booked any number of extra nights with us, or even if you haven't booked extra nights with us, but you're arriving on the day the tour starts, and we've arranged a shared airport shuttle for you, then the way that works is that we use a shared shuttle service, and other passengers from other tour operators also board this shuttle. Usually there's about maybe 5 or 6 other people on this shuttle. And then the shuttle will collect you at your airport of arrival, either Narita or Haneda, according to the flight details you're supplying. So it's very, very important that you keep an eye on those flight details, because they will be tracking that. The shuttle service will be tracking those flight details. And already we've had several calls. And those of you who've been to Japan know how particular the Japanese are. We've had several requests from our team in Japan to ask us multiple times, can you please confirm the flight hasn't changed? Can you please confirm? So please keep an eye on that and let us know as soon as you know. And as long as you're arriving anytime between 6 and 8:30 p.m. and you've booked your extra nights with us, then the shuttle service is available for you for transfer into the hotel. At the arrival gate, it'll be a non-English speaking driver welcome you with a sign board that says Green Tomato, which is the name of the transfer company. I will be sending detailed notes, and of course there's a recording coming after this as well. So just that we'll give you a link to the information, what kind of a sign to look for. And as I said, we do have a time limit. They do have a time limit right now specified as 90 minutes, but we're going to check on that and make sure that you can comfortably clear immigration, get your baggage, and make it out before they abandon you. Okay. We will also be connected on a WhatsApp group at this time, so you will have a chance. You will be able to contact somebody and say, I don't see my driver, whatever. And somebody will come to your aid that way. So there is airport Wi-Fi. If once you step outside, obviously there's no Wi-Fi, but you can always kind of go back into the terminal and message us. So we'll be connected via a WhatsApp group. And it takes about an hour to an hour and a half from the airport to the hotel. Haneda is a little closer than Narita. So you will get to the hotel, and then you will be checking in individually according to your reservations. And then we start on November the 27th at around 12 noon with a welcome briefing, and then we go from there, right? Okay, so please take. I'll be sharing information, links on that, what to look for, and so on. So, and then of course we'll be connected on the WhatsApp group as well. So that brings us to staying connected. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions while this is going on, please post them on chat, and we'll answer them as we go along, or we can answer them at the end. Yeah, so please put them on chat. So how are we going to stay connected on this tour is through WhatsApp. So it's important in Japan more so than anywhere else because it can get very crowded. The train stations are crowded. We are using public transit, and we'll be shopping in department stores and various things. It's not like going off to, say, Gujarat or Kutch, which is out in the desert, and we can always keep an eye on you. So we don't want to lose you. And so this is why it's very important to be familiar with WhatsApp, and also, have at least, or stay close to somebody who has a smart device and we can always get like, where exactly are you, kind of thing, right? So you will need, of course, when in the hotels, you will have Wi-Fi, but what will you do when you're outside and you don't have Wi-Fi outside? So how are you going to stay connected with that? So basically there are options to stay connected outside of the hotel. Your local phone company might offer a plan. Now, those of you from the US, you get good plans, I think, with all your phone companies, pretty inexpensive. Or you can do an eSIM on Airalo, AIRALO.com. And this is something that, you might want to. It works very well in Japan. Unlike some other countries I've tried, it doesn't work very well. It piggybacks on the Japanese networks. And it costs around, the SIM card itself costs about $15 to $20, and then you top up as you go along. And the third option is to get a prepaid SIM card while you're in Japan. Now, this is easily accessible at the ubiquitous 7-Eleven stores and electronic stores all around. We are staying in an area, in a part of Tokyo that is very well served by all these stores. And so you can always zip out of the hotel when you arrive and go and get your prepaid SIM card. So those are the ways that you would stay in touch during the tour. And I highly recommend that you think about how you're going to stay in touch. Now, many of you sound like you're old hands at Japan. And so how you probably got your strategy figured out of how you're going to navigate this wonderful landscape, which is all the richer because we don't see English signage, or we don't hear English being spoken, or a language that you recognize, French for that matter. So that's what makes Japan so fascinating, because it is a completely different culture, but at the same time, when you're in a drugstore and you're looking for meds, and all around you there's nobody who can kind of understand what you're saying. So it's important that you have some way of communicating, either through the apps, either through Google Translate, or be able to take a photograph. But we'll get to that when we get to the apps. But then to do that, you also need to be connected. You need to be on Wi-Fi. So I can't stress this highly enough. So if you would please just pay particular attention to this, that would be really helpful. Okay, money matters, how to access, what about meals, and so on. So you can carry a total of $7,500 in cash into Japan without having to declare it. And then you can change at the airport or in banks. There are plenty of banks around our hotel. And so right now the Japanese yen is trading at about 140 or so to the dollar. You can also take euro for those of you coming from Europe. And you can also use the ATM. You get them at the 7-Elevens. They dispense the Japanese yen. Just check that your card will work in Japan. I like to carry a couple of cards in case one is compromised. Then you always have, fallback. And you won't need that much cash to carry unless you're going into the free markets, antique markets, the fish markets, temples and shrines, that kind of thing, the small shops and the small restaurants. Some of them don't take credit cards. So elsewhere you can use credit cards. Yeah. Okay, so what about meals? What about meals on your own? So some of the meals are included. And when you are eating on your own, Japan can be quite inexpensive, as well as it can go all the way, sky high, depending on how you wish to dine. So casual meals, for example, around $10 to $25, that sort of a range. $10 for lunch, about $25 for dinner. And for, of course, then you can keep going, climbing from there. You can go, all the way up. If you're having a very fine omakase meal, it can cost you, hundreds of dollars. And you will make reservations and so on for those kind of fine dining places. Cindy asked, is the exchange rate at the airport fine? It's okay. It's fine. It's not bad. You probably probably better than what you get at the hotel. So I would suggest, if you have time, keep an eye on that 90-minute limit. If you have time, then yeah, for sure, change some money at the airport. And then other than that, obviously the best rates will probably be at the banks. But it's fine. You're not going to lose that much, All right, so let's get back to the question of food, which is one of my favorite things in Japan. So many options, so many, you're starting with omakase to okonomiyaki to ramen to just simple teppanyaki, like it just goes on and on. You could be eating a different type of Japanese cuisine every day and still not scratch the surface. So kaiseki, you're lucky you're going to get a kaiseki, a full kaiseki dinner when you go to Yamanaka, which is such a treat, such a treat. So lots and lots of options to eat. The area that our hotel is in Asakusa, which is surrounded by eateries and restaurants, and it's quite a culinary magnet for the rest of Tokyo. So you just step out and you see, there's such a wide range of restaurants. And there's also, very close by, there's also places like Denny's. They seem to love their Denny's. I recommend a quick stop in if you can, just to see how the Japanese, take in Denny's, and there's a McDonald's around the corner as well. So that area, it's interesting, how they interact with North American brand names kind of thing. So, and one of the best kept secrets, I think, is to go into the department store food halls, which are an absolute delight. So if you've been to, say, England, and you think, well, Harrods, the Harrods department store, the food hall there, well, think, 4 times as big and like infinitely more complex and variety and choices and beautiful presentation, and very inexpensive, actually. The only problem with buying stuff to eat in Japan on the go is that there are few places for you to sit and eat your food. They frown at people eating in public, as many of you who've been there know, and so it becomes very difficult. And I think, well, in 2023 when we went last, it was quite difficult because it also, COVID was they just opened up after COVID, and so there were a lot of restrictions. The other thing I should mention is that you won't see any trash cans anywhere. So you've got your packaging and all that, and they love their packaging, by the way. So you got all your packaging, and now what are you supposed to do? This is, no trash cans. So I suggest you carry like a produce bag or something to keep all your trash, and then you take it back to the hotel with you. So that's one thing. And while I'm talking about what to carry in your backpack, you might also want to carry a little furosaki, one of these towels, because when you go into the washrooms, they have toilet paper, or they have like fantastic toilets. You heard about the Toto toilets. But when you come and wash your hands, you're supposed to bring your own kind of napkin to wipe your hands with. So that might be something that you might want to make a note of, okay? Okay, so that's meals and this, that, and the other. Let me just see. So credit cards are widely accepted, Heather asks. And yes, pretty much, except, when you're going into, what do you think, Kathy? Credit cards, you want to weigh in, Kathy?
Yes, a lot of just kind of like here, if you're at a market, it's going to be cash. If you're at a little mom and pop shop, it's going to be cash. But certainly in the department store, credit card, proper restaurant, credit card.
Yeah, yeah. That's my experience as well. Antique markets, I think I remember paying like wads of Japanese yen at the markets, at the antique markets, and having a call out for the yen when I was running low. They wouldn't take dollars, and some of them didn't have credit card facility. So some of them do have, the portable kind of square kind of machines. But yeah, sometimes they don't have, they don't carry. Okay, so that's and are there ATMs at the airport? Yes, definitely. And there are ATMs at the airport site, and we'll be using Suka cards. Yes, we will be using Suka cards.
Oh, so will you be providing them? Because I thought I would get them at the airport.
No, what we do is the tour op, we get them through the tour op, so you don't have to worry about that. So your transportation is all taken care of, and we will be using the Suka for public transportation. They'll be giving you these cards. They'll have preloaded them, and then all you do is you tap them as you go, and then at the end of the trip, you just take them back. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Because I was going to get one at the airport, which I probably still will do, but I was
Yeah.
just thinking in terms of people talking about, I know you can preload them and you can use them at the convenience stores instead of like having the cash or a credit card. So.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, good
Thank you.
point. Yes, you can do that. And in fact, when you get your Suka card, for those of you who don't know, is a Japanese, almost like a combined credit and or a prepaid credit and transportation, a transit card. So you can load that, and then you can you pay for your trips on transit, and you also pay for if you go to the 7-Eleven and get whatever, you can use that. So the tour op will load a certain amount that we've calculated for what it'll for journeys that are supposed to be included on the tour. Then you'll find that if you start using your Suka card for other things, like say you go to 7-Eleven or something, you'll run out of credit. Well, in that case, you just go and pop some more money into it when you go to the 7-Eleven. Yes, so that is how the Suka card works. And then, of course, if you are going to stay on in Japan after, then there's all manner of things to, like train cards, and you can have your own Suka card also, and keep loading that as after you handed back the Suka card that belongs to our tour op. Yeah, so you might want to look at that as an option. Okay, good point. Thank you for raising that. All right, so one more thing I have to tell you, that restaurants, when you go to the restaurants, some of them, because it is busy season, we are going in November, which is peak season. Besides spring and fall, these are busy seasons. And you should be prepared to wait for a table, because sometimes you look in a restaurant and you think, oh, well, they're empty, they're half empty. Why can't they take us? Well, they might have a staff shortage. More than anything else, I think Japan, they will not take you if they feel that they can't serve you properly, or they don't have the right, choices for you or whatever. They're very honor bound, as many of you know, who travel to Japan, and they won't take you. So be prepared to wait for rooms. Like start off early. I would imagine if you want to dine at a certain place, go a little earlier, find out how long the wait is, and then figure out something to do. So that is something that we found in 2023. It might have been just because the pandemic was ending and they were opening up, and as you know, we all experienced a little bit of that. But more so in Japan, they were very short staffed. I remember long waits for tables for dinner, and sometimes you think, oh, I just wanted a bowl of ramen, and it took me like an hour and a half. But hopefully that's cleared up now. I'm thinking it shouldn't be that long. Right? Kathy, do you have anything to add about that? I kind of remember going into a few places, and finding that ramen was the easiest, but if you wanted something different, say you wanted, okonomiyaki, or you wanted omakase for that matter, it was always quite a long wait.
Oh, well, I'm not a foodie. So if the line is too long at one booth, I just move to the next one.
The next, okay. All right. Well, I
Not
was with my
flexible.
daughters at one point, and the wonderful thing is, just on the topic of food, that there are so many little eateries that are Michelin rated. It's amazing. And you'll see this long lineup, of people, and you go like, what? Why are they all lining up here for this little, where? What are they lining up for? And then you know that it's a little ramen joint that is a Michelin rated or Michelin starred. So yeah, and they're well deserved, well deserved. The food is fabulous for those of you who are joining us for the culinary aspect on this tour as well. Okay, all right. Catherine, you had your hand up. Is this something I can help you with, or was it just?
Oh, I was just going to mention that you can have a virtual Suica card. I have one on my iPhone, and I can load it from Apple Pay. So anywhere I am where I've got Wi-Fi, it's instantaneous, and I just found that really convenient.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
That's not for Android though. That is just for Apple. Just thought I'd mention.
Yeah. Okay, great. So Kathy will put that in our notes, and yeah. All right, so we'll move on. Tipping and gratuities. Tipping is generally not accepted or expected, I would say. It's a point of honor with the Japanese. If you try and tip them in restaurants or I don't know, for taxis and things like that, they won't accept it. They'll just give it back to you. And they're very, very particular, even things like small change. If you think, oh, I'm going to leave like whatever, a couple of dollars, I don't need it. No, they won't accept it. They'll actually run after you to give you that money back. Except there are a few exceptions. If you're lucky enough to get a personal attendant at an onsen, we are going to onsens, but we're not going to this really high-end onsens where you have personal attendants. You might want to tip them about $10 to $15 at the start of your session. And our guide will appreciate roughly around $5 to $10 per person per day, and tip individually. So we're not running a tipping kitty on this tour. So whatever you feel you've been helped with, and whatever they deserve. So please tip them individually at the end. And the other thing that the guide would appreciate is just a slice of where you're coming from, like whether it's bring something small for them to eat, or like packaged snacks from your country. They love that. Buy them a coffee or buy them a lunch, that sort of thing. And I find that the Japanese, despite having one of the most kind of unique cultures in the world, also, I mean, amazing how they run the country. They also are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? I think humble, in a way that they've got this sense of wonder. Wow, you've got this in your country, and they love talking about that. Certainly, yeah, I found that with our guides as well, that they're enthralled just to share that little piece of your life or your country. So yeah, they really appreciate the time to spend with them. And on this tour also, we have, Kathy's going to be with us, obviously, but we have a lovely guide throughout. So it's going to be just the one guide throughout. So yeah, so you'll be kind of, lots of time to make connections with them. All right, so let's see now, another question. Is there one guide for the entire trip or regional? Yeah, Mary, I answered that. Yep. So we're having one guide throughout. For those of you going to Amami, it'll be the same guide coming with you to Amami as well as our, the head of our team in Japan. She will be with you as well in Amami. All right. We'll move on. Dietary restrictions. Now, Japan, in case you're vegetarian or vegan or something, can be a little challenging because everything has dashi, which is a fish base or a seafood base, like a stock that they use. but with the one exception that they use miso for many things. So miso is a soybean base, and that is not, obviously it's vegetarian. So you'll be able to just make sure that you ask. Now, how do you ask? Best is to make these cards. If you do have a dietary restriction or an allergy, please consult our FAQs. You see them online. And we've got samples of cards that you can make up in Japanese. Possible, laminate them, keep them with you, and just show them to your wait staff that I am allergic to blah, blah. So when you order, they'll know not to serve you something that you're allergic to or you have a restriction to. Okay, that's the best way we've found of getting around. As far as the meals that we are supplying, the team, the tour op has been through this with fine-tooth comb several times. They've asked, has anything changed? Has anything changed? If anything has changed in your dietary restrictions or your allergies, please let us know. Otherwise, we will go with the information that you have supplied, yeah, at the beginning when you register. Okay, so packing. Now, packing on this trip will be a little we'll have to think this through because we're traversing from the north, which will be, well, Tokyo anyway, which will be kind of cool. And then Kanazawa is going to be quite cool as well, quite a lot cooler actually than Tokyo. And then we're going all the way, and especially if you're going to, then you're going to Kyoto, but then if you're going to Amami, which is going to be like tropical weather. So packing should be interesting. You know, you will have, and when we go up to Mount Takao, for example, it gets quite cool. So I would imagine like start with layering, get, fleece hoodies and so on, and then a wind jacket on top. We don't expect snow in November, but November, December kind of thing. But make sure you got like good sturdy socks and so on, and very good walking shoes. We will be doing a lot of walking everywhere. We have added more coach transfers than we did the last time because we found that, you know, people as we're getting up there, our demographic appreciates just kind of loading up luggage on a coach and being transferred rather than taking public transit. But we do have a fair amount of public transit. And these stations do have a lot of walking, and they do have escalators, obviously, but some, not everywhere. They have elevators, lifts everywhere, but not everywhere again. So please be mindful of the fitness requirement here. Let us know if you have any problems. Again, this is where your WhatsApp and your Wi-Fi will come in handy, just in case we get separated in a train station and you taking the escalators or we taking some other way out or something, just to make sure that we, stay together. So another note would be laundry. Where can you do laundry? So you can do self-laundry in our hotel in Kyoto. I think in Yamanaka as well, you have a laundry facility, but that's only for one night. I don't think in Kanazawa you have. And Tokyo, I don't think you do either. But there's always like laundromats just around the corner if you really needed to go. And of course, there's always the hotel sink for those of you who are comfortable doing that. Let's talk about onsens. Now, for those of you who don't know what onsens are, I think pretty much everybody does, right? So those are the Japanese hot springs. Because Japan has such an abundance of volcanic springs, one of the joys in Japan is to relax at the end of the day in an onsen, which is a public bath using, they pipe the volcanic hot spring water full of minerals, very rejuvenating. Now, one thing, you cannot go in that onsen. First of all, they're segregated, men and women. And when you go in there, you're basically buck naked. You do not wear anything. It takes a little getting used to, and then you get used to it very quickly. Except you can have a towel, like a small, like a square towel that you keep on your head just to, towel yourself off as you come out of these onsen. And the onsen is like several pools of different temperatures and different minerals, with this getting in they're very, very particular, this is the mineral content of this pool is this, that, and the other. And it is one of the joys of traveling in Japan, I must say. Just like for those of you who traveled in Morocco or in, the hammams are so welcome at the end of the day. So do experience to take in, and we're lucky we have onsens in 3 of our locations. We have onsens in Kanazawa, we have onsen in, of course, the very famous onsen in Yamanaka. That is the it's like it's a magnet for Japanese all over. They'll come to Yamanaka just for that onsen, and so they will. There's an onsen there, and then we have an onsen an in hotel onsen in Kyoto as well. So yeah, and then of course the people who are going to Amami, you'll have the biggest onsen, which is the ocean. All right. Okay, so one thing, if you have tattoos, be prepared to cover these with sticky tape. Tattoos are associated with the mob in Japan, so the Yakuza, so they will not like that. No swimsuits in onsens, but do bring a swimsuit because, if you're going to Amami particularly, obviously you'll need a swimsuit. And shoes, you will take on and off several times during the day. So be prepared to take your shoes on. The best is those slip-on, slip-off, but you also need comfortable shoes. I know my sister has gone and got some shoes from, I think, that you just slip on and you don't have to, kind of, and she says they're very comfortable. They're Skechers, apparently. She's been telling me about that just before my trip to Japan. She says that's what you need. So consider something that's easy on and off. A closed toe would be good because it'll be cool, and you want to just make sure that your feet are warm. And you can wear socks, obviously, and you can carry your socks in for temple visits and so on. You'll have to take your shoes off for temple visits. There's a question normally that we get asked about prescription meds, whether you need to pre-register them. You don't need to pre-register them as long as it's less than a month's supply and they're in a pharmacy labeled vial. So no issues about that. If you're carrying more than that, then you might want to check out the website and register what you're bringing in here. As far as voltage is concerned, Japan is on 100 volt. We have pictures of the plug that you can use and sockets that they have in Japan. So please have a look at that on the FAQs. 100 volts is slightly lower than the voltage in North America. But the North American plugs work just fine. There's no need for an adapter or anything. One thing though, you might want to keep in mind if you use a CPAP machine, you might want to check the voltage requirement and carry an extension cord because you may not have a plug right next to your bedside. So you might want to just look at that. Another thing is that we will be required to pack for one night to go to Kanazawa before you're reunited with your luggage. So what you do is you pack an overnight bag and just carry whatever. We will be taking the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train. And so for that, please bring a small bag that you can handle by yourself on and off trains, and preferably a rolly bag you don't have to carry. And then your check-in luggage will be transferred the following day to Kanazawa. Yeah. Okay. Right. We're making good progress here. Let's just move on. We've got masking policy. Well, officially, Japan is out of COVID. They've stopped mandatory masking everywhere and so on. However, as you know, we are getting a resurgence of COVID, and I imagine that Japan is not different. So for those of you who are concerned, we are going to be on a coach together. We are going to be in close quarters in train stations and trains and so on. Those of you who are concerned, I would suggest keep your mask on. And also, if you do come down with anything, please, just so that it does not kind of spread within the group, we would request you please remain as isolated as possible and stay masked. So those are the main things. we get asked questions about the, sorry, that's my parrot trying to break in. So we get questions about whether there's Uber and taxis and so on. Yes, there is Uber, but it operates under different rules in Japan. And there are taxis, abundantly taxis, not very expensive. So you should be able to take them, and they're fun to take because I find that although the drivers don't speak English, they're so honest. Oh, sorry, excuse me. This bird wants to be let in.
How do we type a question?
Well, there's a chat thing, is there?
There is a chat.
Yeah. Okay. I can't find it.
You see the drop down menu up on the right side where it says
Yeah.
more dot dot dot.
Okay. Okay, great. I found it. I forgot what I wanted to ask. But yeah.
Welcome to my world.
So, yeah, did you find the chat function? Yeah. Any questions? We can take them. We're a small enough group. So, this is me too, by the way. He got very used to during Zoom, during the pandemic, figuring out what was happening. And then as soon as I get on Zoom, he always wants to come in and check out, the okay, so taxis, yeah, taxis. So they're abundant. If wherever you are, you can always ask the hotel to call you a taxi. And of course, wherever, if you've gone out to eat or something, you can ask them to call a taxi. Sometimes there's a bit of a wait. So just keep that in mind. Let's take a question now. Do taxis take credit cards?
Yes.
I think they do, right? Kathy, what do you think? Yes, they do. Yes. Okay.
Yes, and bring a business card of the hotel with you when you go out, so that when you get in the taxi to go back to the hotel, you can show them in Japanese where your hotel is.
Good point. Yes, do carry a card with you, when you're going out. That's also helpful for when you're wandering around and you need to get back. You can always kind of also show it to whoever. If you manage to find somebody who can, understand what you're saying, you can show them your card and hopefully they'll help you. Okay, so apps. We suggest downloading 3 apps, very important, and they're all on Google. So Google Translate from the App Store, apple.com, and then Google Take a Photo, the camera app where you take a photo and it translates in real time. Again, this is from the App Store. And then Google Maps. So between those three, you should be able to navigate your way around Japan. Translate is a voice, obviously, so that works. And then the photo is very helpful, like if you go into a drugstore or you're trying to decipher a menu, this is very important. And then obviously if you're wandering around on your own, the Google Maps. So those are the 3 apps that we highly recommend that you have on your smart device. Yeah. Also, Google Maps is helpful for finding restaurants and so on. So very handy. So if you're not familiar with that, you've got time, practice, get your 4-year-old neighbor, grandson, whatever, they probably know how to work that. And and then we'll talk about what's coming up in next. Kathy, if I covered it all, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think you've covered everything.
Okay, good. So we will be sending these notes and a link to the recording. Please give me about maybe a few hours before I can upload it. But coming up next is the packing list and the hotel list. We'll also send you a detailed, what we call a 2-pager itinerary, like a grid itinerary, without the pretty pictures and so on, that just shows you where you're going to be on a certain day, what to expect, whether lunch or dinner is included. Breakfast is always included, but whether lunch and dinner is included or not, and what to expect on that day, whether we're taking a workshop, what kind of clothing you can wear. That will also have the emergency numbers. We will start doing the flight reconfirmations about maybe a couple of weeks out from your start date. And then we will be sending you a WhatsApp group link about a week out. And then at this point, we also ask that you please send in an updated, or rather a group, please send in a bio, just a short paragraph about yourself and perhaps a photograph. That would be really helpful to get to know each other and break the ice when we first meet in Tokyo, or in the airport for that matter. Many of you are flying over on that route. It's helpful. So yeah, that is it. I'm going to stop sharing and now take the questions that have come in. Will there be addresses on the shorter itinerary? There will be addresses on your hotel list. So Kathy will shortly be sending a hotel list with addresses and links. So you will have that. And are we doing any fiber dyeing? We are doing fiber dyeing, yes. So, but you know, in Japan, they'll provide you with aprons and so on. We're doing stenciling and we're doing fiber dyeing. Those are the workshops that we do have. All right. Okay, so anybody have anything to add besides how excited we all are to get to Japan? Okay, to bring gloves for dyeing. You've been given gloves. I wouldn't, you know, if you want to save your precious space, your luggage space for shopping, you don't need to carry gloves. And honestly, if you need gloves, you'll be able to buy them there. Our hotel in Tokyo is very well situated. There's a very good, Kathy, I know you said there's a kind of one of these places.
It's called Don Quixote.
Don
and it's
Quixote,
a
that's right.
tall department store, kind of a cross between Walmart and a dollar store. And
Yeah.
if you ask anybody, where can I get everybody says Don Quixote.
Okay. So yeah, so even things like if you don't want to carry a hairdryer, all the hotels do have hair dryers, but you can always go out and get one if you like. And
an additional suitcase.
Shipping home. It is expensive. I mean, it is Japan, so you know they do have the FedEx and the UPS and all that. It is expensive, but you know you will. If you need to, you will ship home if you have to. And there's, you know, again, it's like a Western landscape where you go into a UPS office and you ship your stuff home. Yeah. Will we be going into people's homes? Will we need gifts? Yes, good question. Thank you. One of our experiences is a cooking experience, or like a family make a meal together and eat together in Miyama. And yes, so here you will be going into their homes, and they do appreciate little gifts. Yeah, so you know, I'm trying to think back to our hosts, and a couple of them had grandkids, but it's difficult for me to figure out whether you'll be assigned to those hosts or not. Yeah, something small, you know, for them. We will try ahead of time to figure out you know what kind of gifts these families in Miyama would like, because you'll be split. There'll be about 3 to 4 of you to each family, so it's difficult to kind of pinpoint and say, you know. But I remember one was she was doing colors, like she did a color session with us. Another was an artist, so somebody had, you know, like yeah, so we're gonna get like a profile of these families that would be helpful, and then you can carry something for them. They would really appreciate that. Yeah, nothing expensive, obviously, but
maybe also like just a gift from home kind of thing to represent your country or where you are.
Or if you're a crafter, you're making soap or something like that, or candles, you know, just something small like that. So as far as luggage transfer is concerned, yeah, we just had the one luggage transfer on the way to Kanazawa on this tour. So yeah, so we've added, as I said, we've added coach transfers everywhere, wherever possible. And yes, but there will be one luggage transfer from Tokyo to Kanazawa. Okay, so please bring a suitable bag. Just probably your carry-on bag will be enough. But yeah, you will be on and off trains and so on. All right. Okay. Good. if there's no more questions, we'll let you get on with your day. And I look forward to seeing you. I will see you in Tokyo a few days out after the start of the tour, but Kathy will be there to take care of you, and our very wonderful tour team in Japan. They're very, very efficient, as I mean the whole country is, right? But these guys are super efficient. And yeah, lots of wonderful experiences and treats lined up for all of you. Really looking forward to seeing you all. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Will
Thank
you set up the
you.
WhatsApp group? Sorry, Seth is asking. Yes, about a week out, I will set up the WhatsApp group so we can have you all connected. All right, keep the questions coming. We will be doing that. We will be, Kathy is away for the next couple of weeks, but yeah, you're going to Ireland, Kathy. Wonderful.
Yeah.
So Kathy is away, and as you can see, I'm a little compromised right now. I had wrist surgery on Monday, so I'm not going to be getting to a lot of your emails very quickly, but we have time. So when Kathy gets back on October the 20th, after that she will be responding a little bit faster, and I will be auto dictating if there's anything urgent. But yeah, so that's where we're heading. But we have time. We still have time. Thank you so much, Cindy. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.